Good afternoon. I'm attorney Robert Patillo. I'm the executive director of the Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to bring you guys a message regarding the recent activities at the southern border with Haitian migrants who have been, of course, you've seen the news, the images in the news, and who are seeking lawful asylum here in the United States of America. The Rainbow Push Coalition has been intimately involved with the Haitian American community, not just currently, but Reverend Jackson has decades of working together to try to bring political stability and to find ways to incorporate them into society here in America as they try to exercise their international rights to be treated with the types of human rights that are necessary and deserving of all of mankind. Joining us now to be part of this conversation, we're joined by Dr. Candice Matthews. Dr. Matthews, how are you?
I'm fine, and yourself, sir?
I am wonderful. Can you introduce yourself to the Rainbow Push audience?
Yes, hi, I'm Dr. Candice Matthews. I am the Texas Steering Committee Chair for Rainbow Push Coalition here in Texas. Hat number 2, I am also the statewide Harris County Accountability Chair for the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, which is the Black Caucus.
Thank you so much for joining us. And can you talk a little bit about what is going on down in Del Rio, Texas, and how it's impacting the local community there?
Well, see, what's happening down in Del Rio, it's very catastrophic. It's something that we have actually never seen before of this magnitude. I mean, to the fact where you really didn't see Red Cross, to the fact where instructions wasn't really given to the families that were there. Then you having Haitian refugees having babies there. Then on top of that, it wasn't accessible for people to actually want to come to visit at the border to see what's happening. And then you have U.S. Border Patrol that on horses that's actually bringing us back to the Fugitive Slave Act era with whipping and taunting and hitting Haitian refugees. That is unacceptable. And it just really just took a shot pretty much here with us in Texas, because let's be clear, Texas, we are at ground zero with a lot of egregious bills and a lot of egregious activity under this current governor that we have by the name of Governor Abbott.
And with that, can you talk a little bit about kind of the human rights abuses happening at the border? Because we've seen many, both in government and in media, trying to downplay it, saying, well, they weren't whipping them. They were just riding their horses. It wasn't a whip. It was a split rein. What are the things that you were seeing there in Texas?
Like I said, what I was seeing in Texas was actually Haitian refugees who actually their civil rights was being violated, and it was just inhumane treatment being done at the border. So you can't just tell me that you're just on a horse and then you were whipping a horse. No, you were striking a Haitian refugee. Then on top of that, you have it to where you're splitting these families. Then on top of that, you have it to where it's no Red Cross. It's that you don't want the media to get all of what's actually happening. What are you hiding? You know what I mean? Because if you were not doing anything that was not humane to these people, why are you not being transparent? And seeing that's the problem that we're seeing is no transparency at all, and these people's rights are being violated, and it's unacceptable.
What do you think needs to be done, particularly by the administration? Because much of this is based upon federal policy. You stated, you have Governor Abbott there in Texas, who's part of the kind of the far right governors of a strong anti-immigration bend when it comes to migrants and asylum and refugees. However, the Biden administration during the 2020 campaign, they articulated that they would take a very different tack. So what do you think needs to be done by the administration at the border?
What needs to be happened, it needs to be immigration reform. Clearly what needs to happen here. And in Texas, we actually came up with a checklist of what we would like to see. We got with a lot of grassroots organizations, as well as a lot of pastoral pastors that were here. And what we did, we wanted to come up with a collective statement for humanitarian with all groups was one. Then we wanted to coordinate as far as with dealing with the border patrol with that officer that was on that horse for him to be expelled. And then also we wanted to have it to see as far as like, what would this process look like with asylum? You know what I mean? Because this is what we want. Then we wanted to actually elevate it to the national level in Washington, D.C. We actually wanted executive order to stop all deportation until these individuals can get processed. And then also we need to raise the moral profile here.
You know, I find it interesting you said raise the moral profile, because at the same time that Haitians were being whipped and brutalized at the border, the president of the United States was addressing the United Nations during the UN convention, talking about the need for human rights across the globe. And I think if you're going to talk about human rights across the globe, we have to address human rights here at home first. Joining in on the conversation now, we have advocate for the Haitian American community, Mr. SLEDGE Leonidas. Mr. Leonidas, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. You know, it's been an interesting perspective on our end. We were able to process close to 2,000 migrants that came in from Del Rio on buses. Approximately 28 buses were received in the Houston Processing Center at NACC, who's the National Association of Christian Churches. Our organization partnered with them to be able to get the families to the next phase, the next step, from anywhere from buying plane tickets, feeding them, giving them a place to rest, showers, and the likes, just to give them that human element and dignity that they do deserve, so that they can properly process themselves, even from legal representation and the likes.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about NACC and some of the other groups that are there on the ground actually providing humanitarian support for the migrants?
Our organization, Houston Haitians United, partnered together with NACC, who has a large facility that can house many migrants. And so they were able to receive them and welcome the Haitians in alongside of us. Or other organizations have given an outpour of contributions, whether that may be in monetary or goods that the migrants needed to be able to accommodate themselves while they were here in Houston at the facility.
I want to move to closing remarks on what you think people can do to get involved. I'll start with you, Dr. Matthews.
We've seen the crisis, what happened at that border. We've seen the atrocity that these people went through to try to gain asylum. We definitely need to be able to donate, to help, because they have children, they have themselves. And I mean, and it's like, who can imagine going through that long journey? I know I wouldn't be able to do it, but for them to be able to do that, to try to seek asylum due to what's happened in their country, we have to be empathetic. These people have been traumatized, and it's going to take a lot to normalize them from this atrocity.
I was a migrant myself, and, you know, here I am, you know, here talking on behalf of my people, because I had a chance to do so. And that's all we want. And we appreciate the love and the support, and we'll continue fighting the fight and representing the best that we can for Black people and people everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Candice Matthews, Mr. SLEDGE Leonidas, and on behalf of the Haitian American community. My mother is actually Haitian also, so I've understood these issues generation after generation. This has been American policy, regardless if it's a Republican or a Democrat in office. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Make sure you join the Rainbow Push Coalition, www.rainbowpush.org. We'll also be holding the Southeast Regional Conference, the 22nd Annual Creating Opportunity Conference, between October 14th and 15th. You can register for that at creatingopportunityconference.com. And as Reverend Jackson would say to end these sessions, make sure that you keep hope alive. Thank you so much.